Those were crazy years. A lot of them I see in flashes. I remember our house in Liberia. I remember one day in October, I think, and my father decided we were gonna run away from the mission house that we lived in, because my parents live in a boarding school as teachers and deans. And we had to get away, so we had this truck. I think it was a pickup truck or it was a van, because it had to fit a lot of people. I have 4 other siblings. And I remembered we were in the house and my dad saw some people approaching and he went outside. And then I heard that there was an argument outside. My mom went out. When she came in, we found out that they were part of the rebels and they asked my father for our car. And my father didn't want to give him the car because he had a family to transport in the car. So my mom told him he should give him the car. And he did, with all our stuff in it. That night, we walked. It wasn't actually far. It was my first time walking long distance, but it was 3 miles to the neighbor's house that was close by. And we took refuge there. And the next morning, my dad was gonna go back for the rest of our belongings that he could salvage, if anything was there. Our house was burned down when my dad got back there to ashes. I don't have any baby pictures. Past, I think I actually have one when I was 2 years old. And it came from a friend of mine. Her mother took the picture and they had that picture. And when I wanted baby pictures of myself, they sent it to me. We never went back home because there was nothing to go back to. We kept going and we took refuge in a church. And my dad being a minister, I think we thought this was safe ground, and we had so much belief and so much faith. I think this is the only memory that sticks and plays in my head, the memory of what happened in this church, that I think basically crowds my entire childhood. And every time I try to get any other memory from my childhood, I get stuck. I remember it in a different way, and I'm sure my mom and dad and everyone remember it their own way. I remember sleeping in the middle of the night and hearing gunshots. I remember waking up to my dad screaming, "Everybody needs to get outside." And I thought that was stupid. Yeah, I'm 7. You don't go outside when people are shooting a gun. Why would you do that? So I heard the loud voice on a loudspeaker. It must have been saying, "We will blow up the church if everyone doesn't come outside." And that's when I guess at then my 7-year-old brain pieced it together that we had to go outside or else. So we all went outside, and it wasn't just my family. It was 7 other families taking refuge in this church. And we went outside and hello, there were the people with guns. So they started out by saying, "Everybody line up and empty your pockets and give everything you have." So we did that. And as we're doing that, I noticed that my mom and my sister are not with us. So I'm starting to freak out here, and I'm pinching my dad and going, "Where are they?" And my dad is like, "You can't talk, there are people with guns." I'm like, "Where?" So finally, one of the guys said, "I'm about to shoot a grenade launcher or whatever through the church." And I'm like, okay, what's going on? So I see the church blowing up, and I see my mom running and throwing herself on the floor, holding my sister, because apparently My sister loves to sleep. And she didn't hear anything. She didn't hear any of the call. She didn't hear any of what needed to be done. So, yeah, she was sleeping, and my mom was trying to wake her up because she wasn't gonna leave without her daughter. So we stood there in the cold, and we were asked to derobe and take off all our clothes and put them down because apparently they decided that we were going to be killed. So the leader asked his lackeys to shoot everyone. And one of them said, I'm not going to shoot people that were in a church. What if they're God-fearing? And I didn't think about it then, but thought about it later, really. After all the things you've done, that's what you're thinking about. What if they were God-fearing? So one of the guys says, well, let's get all the God-fearing people on the side, and the other ones, we can kill them. So the people doing all this, towards the end, recognized were security officers from our school, which was less than 3 miles down the road. And they were now a part of the rebels. Everybody was baffled by what happened or didn't happen. Today, I know my sister, my father, they all talk about it with the enlightenment and different, and I just say, I have no idea what happened, but I'm grateful I'm alive today because I thought I was going to die. That's why sometimes I tell my son, I say, you're lucky. You're very lucky. I will never wish my childhood on any kid, ever. And I don't blame my parents because I know they couldn't have done anything to protect me from that. But still, man, that was a messed up childhood. I know there were a lot of girls in Liberia that went through what I went through, and I know a lot of them are sitting and not dealing with this because that's what our culture calls for. I know there are a lot of people out there going through divorces from cheating and thinking their life is over, and a lot of them sit and cry about it. I am hoping that someone can look at this today and say, maybe I'm stronger than I think I am. And that's one thing that could take them forward, if just that. And I'm hoping that if a girl from Liberia saw this, they could say, maybe if I talked about what I went through, it will make me deal with what I'm going through a lot better. Because I think that problem, I have a couple of friends from Liberia who still just stay in the rut and don't deal with what they're going through and don't deal with anything in the past. And the past just was the past. But the past made us today. So that's why we have to deal with all of those so that we can be able to deal with